All right. So, um, and I have to tell everybody that I truly appreciate everybody being part of this and asking the questions that you're asking and reaching out to me about different things that we're sharing and putting out there and all those things. Um, we didn't do last Friday because I was actually celebrating my wife's birthday, so she wanted to go out to the country and do some things, just family time. So that's what we did. Imagine that. But I had a lot of people and patients asking and saying, "Hey, we missed last week." But these are the questions that they're having now. And so the big one that we're having right now with everything going on is about the masks and about wearing masks and just the efficacy of it and what's going on and what the research says about those things. And I'm going to tell you right now that some of the stuff I'm going to tell you is going to make people frustrated about it. Some people, it's going to be like, oh, good, I feel better about knowing that. But I want to make sure I at least give you the research that's out there so that you can make an informed decision to look at it and go, okay, that makes sense to me, or that doesn't, and here's why, right? But what I've been seeing is this, is that I'm seeing people not having a full understanding of everything that's going on. Because now we're having states that are out there that are demanding. They're saying, look, no mask, no service. If you don't wear a mask, then you're going to get fined, and you're going to have all these things going on. Um, and there's multiple reasons behind all of that, and you can dive into that however you want. My purpose with all of this is the same as it's always been. It's to make sure that I'm telling people the information that's out there so they can use it as what's best for them and their family and their friends. Because I guarantee you, what I'm going to share here today is going to be another one of those things that you're going to want to send to somebody and make sure that they know about what's going on. Um, it's just to help them, right? It's to help our communities and help everybody understand what's happening that's out there, because there's just so much happening so fast. Just a month ago, almost a month ago to the day, today is the 6th, almost a month ago to the day, Fauci came out and he was saying there's no need for you to wear masks, right? Like Fauci came out and he was on a 60-minute interview. You can go back and look at it for yourself. Fauci came out and said there's no reason for you to have to wear a mask. It's fine. And one of the big things that he was saying about that at that time was he was talking about the fact of the limited supply that was out there. Now we're seeing that that's not quite the case. So what is the research that's out there for the effectiveness of it? And then what are some of the things, I'll just let you know some of the things that we're doing in my house and we're doing with my family and we're doing here at the office to help with that too, to protect us and protect families and protect everybody else, to make sure that we're following the protocols and we're following what's going on. So let's go into some of the research, and then I want to tell you a bit of a story of an experience that I had with somebody, and then in regards to the mask, and then let's talk about some of the other research that's out there. So the first thing that I'm going to talk to you about is the most recent published article that was out, and this was published actually, I mean, it was just published, within the last month. And so they're talking about the effectiveness of the surgical and cotton mask in blocking the SARS-CoV-2 in a controlled comparison. And they're talking about this. I'll put this in the comments so that you can see where it came from and everything. They're talking about basically the size of the mask, and they're talking, or the permeability of the mask, and how good is it with protecting you. And so there's two different camps here. You have to think of it this way. There's two different camps. One camp in wearing the mask is, and you can be in both camps too, you can have a foot in both places, but one camp is, I'm wearing the mask to protect myself. And we're going to talk about that. And then the other camp is, I'm wearing the mask to make sure I'm protecting other people in case I'm a carrier and I don't know it, or because I've been exposed, or whatever it is. And you can have a foot in both camps, but there's kind of logic behind both of them whenever you're looking at it from both sides, from their perspective, right? And so in this particular instance, they're talking about the effectiveness and what the results were in wearing the cloth mask versus not. And so basically they say right here, and this is straight from it, I'll just read it for you. It says, neither the surgical nor cotton mask effectively filtered the SARS-CoV during coughs by infected patients. So they're looking at it as, if you're wearing the mask, that and they're coughing, that the SARS gets out to others. So them wearing the mask did not protect them. The surgical nor the cotton mask effectively filtered that coming through, because there was enough force to press out. Now, one test that people are saying to use is, and this is what my team and I were just talking about, is the ability to blow out the candle, right? That if you blow out a candle, then does that mask really protect you? And that's, I understand that if you're wearing a mask and you can blow it out, does it protect? So that's one thing, right? And so their idea is this, is that the size of the diameter, the size of the COVID too, is similar size, that it's so small that the permeability is there. Now, that's one study that's out there. They're saying, look, it's not protecting if you're wearing the mask because you are infected and it's not filtering out, then that's a problem. The other one is this, is from the British Medical Journal, and they're talking about a randomized controlled study. So a cluster randomized trial of the cloth mask versus the medical mask. And they looked at it in healthcare workers. So they were looking at it as these are the people that are most exposed. And let's look at it from that perspective. So it's cloth versus medical. And when I say medical, just so you know, they mean these. These are the ones that we use in the office. And I'll tell you why and everything else and our reasoning behind all that. But it's the N95 3M with the filter. And we do that to take care of us, to protect others and all that stuff, because we're coming in a lot of contact with a lot of people. So here is what the conclusion of this study was. The conclusion of this study that was published, and it's in National Institute of Health. You can go on there on the .gov. I'll put the link here too for you. It says the study is the first random controlled trial of cloth mask versus the N95s, right? The surgical mask, or the medical mask is what they're called. They said the important finding is to inform them about what's going on as far as cloth versus the other. The issue is this, is that the cloth mask was almost 97% permeable, the penetration of the cloth, that it's only 97%, as in it doesn't provide a lot of protection as far as protecting you from what's going on and protecting others too. But people are saying, well, is it better than nothing? It could be 97%. That's pretty permeable, right? Whereas the medical masks are 44%. So that changes the perspective there too. When we're looking at the effectiveness, it's, am I trying to protect myself as a healthy individual to protect myself? Or am I doing it because I'm trying to protect other people? And so it's looking at it from those perspectives. Some people say, well, look, if you're wearing the mask, then it keeps in more of the carbon, you're breathing in your own, CO2 that's coming out and all that kind of stuff. And that's no fun and nobody likes that or anything else. But the idea is, are we doing it to protect ourselves or protect other people? And that's where you have to look at this research and figure that out for yourself too, as to what you're doing there. Me and my family, in my own home, we're dealing with the fact that my youngest, my 4-year-old, she's just getting over pertussis. Pertussis, as some of you are going to know, because I've got docs that are on here too, that some of you are going to realize, yeah, pertussis is what's called whooping cough. And that it has an 8-week lifespan of what goes on there, right? And we do everything, like we're building immunity, we're doing all these things, just sometimes our immune system gets down and you're not protected. And so she was exposed, she got pertussis and she got whooping cough. And so she's on the back end of all that, thankfully, gratefully, all that. But we want to make sure that we're doing everything in our home to protect her too, and make sure that everything's good there. The issue is this, is that what I'm seeing people getting very, very anxious, and they're getting a lot of anxiety about this and a lot of stress about it. I was just at the grocery store just 2 days ago, and as I'm walking around, and I see this older woman, and as she's walking through, she sees somebody that doesn't have a mask on, and as she sees him not having the mask, she's getting frustrated and angry, and you can see her visibly angry when she's walking by him. Finally, we kind of all end up in the aisle together, and the gentleman standing there, he's not wearing his mask, and I'm coming one direction, she's coming the other direction, and she gets to him and she starts yelling at him for not wearing a mask. She's saying, look, you're putting other people at risk, you're putting me at risk, I'm high risk, and all those things. And she's got the mask and the gloves and all those kind of things. And that comes from a place of fear, right? And from a place of, if there's an idea that what you're wearing isn't protecting you enough to give you the confidence to go, all right, look, I'm going to protect myself and protect others with this, then we need to reevaluate what it is that we're wearing. Because her fear at that moment really had nothing to do, and you could tell the guy handled it. He handled it fine. He was just like, okay, and he just kind of let her yell and let her do her thing, and it was just okay. But the issue is that if we're questioning how comfortable we are with wearing what it is that we're wearing, then we have to ask ourselves, is what I'm wearing the right thing for me at this particular time? And if we're looking at it and going, well, this doesn't provide the right type of protection, and I'm concerned because my mask only works if you're wearing your mask, which is kind of her mentality at that time. Like, what I'm wearing is only going to work if you're wearing something too, to protect me and protect everybody else too. The idea should be, it should be a two-way street of protection there, and the idea of wearing the mask based on the research that's out there with that. So you have to look at it as what way do you look at this, and how do you feel about it for protecting you and your family? And that's what this all comes down to, the ability to choose within that too. and the ability to make sure that you're making those right decisions for you and your family. In our office, we are wearing the mask. We're giving out masks to patients that want them to. And we're making sure that if they're wearing the cloth mask, we let them know, hey, look, are you doing this to protect you or protect other people? Because if it's to protect you, then you need to look at something else, because the permeability that's there with the cloth mask. If it's to protect other people, then okay, it's going to block any sneezing or coughing or anything like that, possibly, that's there, because it's going to work more as a shield there too. But either way, we want to make sure that we're following all the guidelines in our office to make sure that it's healthy, clean, safe, all that, is that we can provide the care that we need to. I'm interested in people's comments, questions, concerns, because this is a very polarizing kind of a topic. This is one where people are like, yes, wear the mask. It's the only thing that's going to help us. And other people are like, the masks aren't doing anything. And I wanted to challenge us a little bit in looking at the research from both sides. And I realized that some people kind of say, well, you should only share one or the other. But there's other information out there. And we need to look at that introspectively and kind of look at it and go, well, what is it that's right for me, so that I can make my decisions on protecting me and protecting others as well. So we're taking all the necessary precautions here, but I want to hear your comments and concerns and questions and all that kind of stuff too. I will post the link to all the research and everything. I do want to say too, we have had patients that have asked us about purchasing the masks that we have, and we made sure that the supplier that we got it from, we said, look, we don't want to take this from anybody that's on the front line, but if you have extra, we'll take some of that. So we have some that we've actually been selling to patients, what we have. It's like we only have a small supply, but we're giving it to them too when they come into the office. But if they want more, we're selling that to them. And then we can put in the link if you want to get like a mass order, because some people are asking like for their church or for their restaurant or for their office or whatever it is. We have connections for making that happen to where it's already here in the office, or not just here in the office, but they're in the United States and they can ship it to you to question right there. So, okay, I have a question here, and I don't think the homemade masks do anything like you said. However, I wear mine to keep people calm. Right now, mass hysteria is worse than the virus. I totally agree with you, Misty. Like the mass hysteria and the fear factor that's going on with that. If I go into any place, just so you know, if I go into any place and I'm wearing scrubs like I have on right now, if I'm looked at as I'm covered from head to toe, as if I'm covered in coronavirus. And literally, like people, it's like parting the Red Seas, right? It's like everybody goes around me as if there's no way. Feeding into that mass hysteria, I will say one other thing, is the fact that we have neighborhoods around, and I'm concerned about the mass hysteria because the ideas of people. We have neighborhoods all around our office, and I was walking. It was a beautiful day, and people are out and kind of walking around the neighborhood and that kind of thing. As I'm walking, there's a little boy. He's probably about 3 years old. He's playing on the side of the sidewalk, and his mom's out there. She's watering the plants. As I'm walking by, the mom's like, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" The little boy, he looks up from playing with his toy cars, and he looks at me, and he goes, "No, get away. There's germs." That's the mindset that's there, even at a young age, at 3 years old. And I'm concerned with that too. Like I'm honestly concerned about those long-term ramifications of what goes on there, as far as the concerns of what's going to happen with little kids with this, and not only little kids, but adults too within that. That's not obviously my field or my specialty, but I am concerned about that for all of us, as far as the idea of what is this going to mean past this? Like I'm one of those people, I like to give high fives and hugs and all that kind of stuff. Are people still going to be, people are going to be pretty cautious with that for a period of time, right? So, and that's absolutely, that's scary and scar, absolutely, right? Like that's one of those things where I see that kind of issue. You're right, Karen. Like I see that kind of stuff too, and I look at it and I go, that's an issue. Like what's that going to mean for that little kid later on down the road? And I just see a lot of that going on. So it doesn't matter if you're older, and if we're younger, what the issues are going to be, we're going to see some things that are there too. So in the world of social media, there's so much misinformation, and that terrifies me. People don't know what is correct. And I totally agree with you there. That's why I want to do this, so that we can talk about these kind of things and we can have a dialogue about it, but also that I can say, here's the research that's out there that people are talking about. And the other thing is that it changes so much. Like people don't know what's correct because it changes almost from day to day, or from morning to afternoon, or from today this is right and tomorrow it's wrong, right? So like literally, I wanted to talk about the mask thing because just a month ago, Fauci was saying no, and people were still hanging on to that. And then some people are still holding on to no masks. Other people are like, no, no, you have to wear the mask. That's the only thing that's going to do anything. And we've got it very, like, it's a very polarizing topic, and it's a very polarizing kind of thing. Only part of the solution. My value indicates respect to all human lives, mine and others. And I agree with that too. Right. And that's the thing. When we start to look at all these things, there's a lot that goes on within that too, that we want to protect ourselves and protect others, value our own our own thoughts, our own concerns, our own ideals, and value others too. And what's the outward sign of that too? And right now it seems to be, yeah, it's wearing the mask. Does that fit for everybody? No. There's other people that look at it and they go, no, there's no way I'm wearing that. Right. Okay. You know, um, I've already told you the way that we're looking at it and what we're doing for this and what we're taking into it, and our reasons behind that too. Not just protecting me, my team, our patients, our community, that kind of thing, but also my own daughter too, right? My youngest as well. It's I want to make sure that we're doing this the way that we can. Is wearing a mask making it the new norm, or should we not fight to make sure it's not the new normal? Good question, right? Is it going to be the new normal, or is it going to be like, no, we shouldn't be doing that anymore either, right? Like at some point, at what point do we look at that and go, we don't need this anymore? Because I think that's a major question too, is looking at it and going, all right, and this is a question literally that we all need to think about is it the new normal, or is it going to be one of those things that we look at and we go, because the idea is to lower it, right? It's to decrease the number of issues that we have with that, the number of cases that we see with that, and all those kind of things. It's not to make it zero, because I don't believe that there's ever going to be, I don't think anybody listening to this thinks, okay, at some point there's going to be zero cases and it's going to be eradicated and that's going to be it, right? So if the idea is we're decreasing that, at what point do we go, okay, we've decreased it enough to where we don't need to worry about this stuff, right? Like we don't need to worry about that anymore. At what point do we reevaluate and look at it from that perspective? Those are good questions too. And those are things that I think that we have to be forward thinking enough to look at and go, at what point can I look at this and go, all right, there's really there's enough out there for me to look at it and go, I don't need to wear anything anymore. I don't need to wear any masks. I don't need to do any of that. I'm good. And my community's good. Everyone's good. And that's one of those things where that information should be brought to the forefront for all of us to be looking at as well, right? Because right now, going back to what Missy was saying too, that the amount of hysteria that's out there and that becomes a lot of fear focus and becomes very scary. And we're seeing that affecting younger, older, everyone in between. That whenever that happens, that puts a lot of stress on the system, and all that stress definitely decreases our immune system too. We know that. But all this stress that goes on here, that the higher the stress is, the lower that it is that our immune system can function. And we need to do everything we can to increase immune system function. If I can make this one, to make this not the new norm, I agree. So we also need to keep shaming people for having different thoughts, fears, actions, and beliefs, and stop fear mongering. Totally agree there too. Like I agree, Karen. Like it's one of those things where the idea that the older woman came up and like yelled at the gentleman in the store that I saw, right? And we're seeing more of that too. Like if you're watching the news, you're seeing people that are like, pulling a gun on somebody to do that kind of thing, or violently hitting somebody else or anything like that, or seeing some guy yelling at somebody else in the store for not wearing their mask. Like if we are going to respect each other's thought processes and what's going on, then we have to, shouldn't we respect whatever it is that they're deciding to do? And I know that's hard. That's hard for some people to look at. So that Sweden is doing in the concept of herd immunity. I've seen a lot with what Sweden's doing with herd immunity. I mean, there's always more. That's the thing, is that as much as I watch and as much as I'm getting research on it and as much as I'm seeing these things, like there's always more. And I feel like it's ever changing, just like you do too. So I'm trying to get narrow scopes of what we can do and go deep into that, and then share that information at that time, because obviously these things are going to change again. By next week, the ideals are going to change again. And that's the thing. I'm trying to make sure I'm keeping everybody updated as much as I can on that, and stay focused on that. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is. I do believe that at some point, that's why I'm saying the thing about, we can't have this be the new normal of just constantly wearing the mask. At some point, it needs to be to the point to where it's like, okay, we have all decided that now we don't need to wear the masks. And some states are saying that, and some places are saying, no, we're going the opposite direction and saying that you have to wear it. And some people are saying, look, if you're a healthcare worker, you need to be doing that. If you're coming in high contact with a lot of people, you need to be doing that, right? That if you're going to be in bigger groups, you've got to be wearing a mask or something along those lines. So, so it is a place of a lot of flux, and there's a lot of that goes on too. So, but look, I have to tell you all, like, I totally appreciate everyone with your comments, your questions. I'm getting a lot of people that are messaging me separately offline too, to ask me specific questions too. And I will always do my best to answer all of those as well. If you have any other questions about anything else that you're seeing where there's just a lot of, I mean, there's so much conflicting information. I'm doing what I can to keep it positive and keep it about things that you can do something about. That's my whole thing. So I want to make sure that I'm giving you things that are empowering, that bring things to the forefront of looking at it and going, well, what can I actually do about this? Because so many of the things that come out that I'm seeing right now are things that are outside of our control, right? Like, there's so many things that are outside of our control, but if we can do some things that keep us within that control that we can control, then let's focus on that. Because when we focus on that, then that can be empowering. Whenever we're empowered, then we're in a different state as far as our headspace goes, and the amount of stress that we're under goes as well. And that then affects our immune system. The one thing that is the absolute constant with all of this is immune system function. Is that if we can keep your immune system functioning at its highest level, that's going to give us the best chance to make sure that we're fighting off this, as well as any other thing that comes our way and any other stuff that ends up happening, because they're already talking about that right now, that it's mutated. So like, we have to make sure that we're doing the things, and I've already gotten questions about that too, so I'll make sure I do one on that as well, talking about the mutated virus, because it's already mutated a lot. That's natural. We know that that's going to happen. Like, any virologist or anybody else that's talking about anything for a virus is going to say, yes, it just makes sense that this thing's going to mutate. We all know that, but now they're seeing significant changes in that mutation. And so it's, well, then what do we do? Well, we've got to make sure that we're protecting ourselves. We keep our immune system as high as it possibly can be so that we can fight that off. So research different tanks. I feel very safe in your, thank you. I appreciate that. We want you to feel safe. And I want to make sure that that's the case for all of us, that we're all safe, and that that we're getting what we need throughout all of this, because it's a lot. I'm hearing from a lot of patients and a lot of people that the only place that they actually get to interact with people is in our office, and that saddens me, but also makes me happy too, to know that we're here as that part too. So thank you all so much for the questions, the comments, and us all respecting each other's thought processes throughout that too. There's so much that's changing so fast, and so much that I will make sure I always do my best to give you all the information that I can with this. But if you ever have any specifics, please let me know. Reach out to me, send us a message, and you can send that right here, or you can send it directly to the Vidan Family Chiropractic page as well. Thank you all, and I'll see you Friday at 1:32. Although I will tell you, on Fridays, I might have to travel, so Fridays might be a recorded one, but it'll still be good, and I would still make sure I get on there and that I answer questions there too. All right, talk to y'all soon.